Hello and welcome to the Venus Project Supporter Show. I am Tom Hockney.
And I am Aiden Fry.
And we are the 2 points of contact for the Venus Project based in the UK. So check it out on Facebook page or email us directly if you want to chat. All links in the box below.
Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hey, and welcome to the show. I am Tom Hockney. Of course, we have Aiden Fry today.
Hello.
We have two guests as well. Nick tapping.
Hello.
Unless it's taping. I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Tapping.
Good. And Lee Nelson as well.
Oh.
So today we're going to be talking about a very topical topic, which is kind of all about democracy, voting. Should we vote? If so, who for? Kind of the fundamentals of democracy. What purpose does it serve in our system? And of course, what systems to do the Venus Project advocate as alternatives. So,
I guess, so I'll start with kind of mine and your kind of side, which is we're coming from the Venus Project. The Venus Project's kind of, when it doesn't talk about getting into politics, there's a number of videos where Jacques and Roxanne said, no, we don't want to get into politics. We'll get into why probably throughout the show, but that's kind of where the Venus Project starts on all this thing. Lee, what about UK collapse? Where do you guys kind of fit into this?
We also advocate a resource-based economy and support both the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist movement. But we deal with the collapse of industrial civilization and how that affects upon the population and what people can expect. And you know, the obvious solutions, which is the resource-based economy, which is the only real legitimate change that we can hope to achieve in the future.
Sure. And do you want to get there through politics, or?
We don't believe that it will be able to change through politics purely because of the monetary system that's involved in politics. Politicians can be bought and sold at a whim, and we don't see that as a way forward anymore.
Awesome, that's great. And Nick, do you want to give a little background from where you're coming from with the MoneyFreeParty?
Yeah, I'll come there. So it's a big subject. I mean, there's no sort of black and white about it, is there really? I mean, yeah, politicians are corruptible. Everybody's corruptible. Everything is corruptible, isn't it? The political system, is on an unlevel playing field. It's hardly democratic. But, we could live in Egypt, or Saudi Arabia, or Pakistan, wherever, where we don't enjoy the same freedoms, that we do here. Although Pakistan does enjoy a little bit of democracy there. The thing is, with the political system, it does allow you to actually vote out the system. It allows you to vote in a completely different system. It will allow you to vote in a direct and logical transition to a resource-based, money-free society. Now, whether people want to use that way, that's up to them. That's my take on it.
Okay. And so just so I'm correct, kind of on your background, because you're affiliated with the MoneyFreeParty, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to just explain what the MoneyFreeParty is?
Well, the MoneyFreeParty is a registered political party in the UK, and it was set up to help promote the vision of a resource-based society, and also to allow people that the freedom to express themselves democratically within our present system. Because you've got basically the resource-based money-free vision holds a solution for the planet and everybody on it and everything on it. So we've got to really be promoting it out there as much as we can.
Yeah, that's cool. Cheers for giving your ideas and stuff. So you want to use democracy as a transitional tool to get that kind of thing. You think we'd be able to use democracy to get that?
We can, if people choose to, use it that way. It's like everything, we can say, the computer's bad or porn's bad or whatever. It just depends on how we use things, doesn't it? I mean, if we're going to use the political system to carry on voting for enslavement, monetary enslavement, then we're not using it right. And if we're not going to use the political system at the expense of letting a minority of quite manipulating, selfish people control the system, then that's not right either, because that's what we do. When we pull out of the system, the system gets controlled by a smaller and smaller, more progressive right-wing minority.
Yeah.
That's why we've got the left Labour Party that is in fact a Tory party. It's just how bad could it get?
Like my thinking on this is one of the ways I see the world transition to resource-based economy would be the building of a test city, and that would show people how kind of concrete Venus Project's ideas are and how possible it is, and that would really promote. But the thing is with that, it wouldn't require many people to do. It would require funding and resources, but it wouldn't require a majority vote. Because a lot of people say, how are you going to get the world on board, kind of thing. It's like, how are you going to change everyone in the world's opinions to a resource-based economy? And the answer is we don't. We change those who have the ability to do things like construct a resource-based economy society, and to advocate that. We only need to reach a tiny percent of people on Earth, and then it'll cascade from there once the ball gets rolling. So the thing that I'm thinking is, like, my major concern with the current democratic system is the media has such control over it, and people just it's these 2 or 3 options that they've got, and then there's the other one which is don't vote, and that's really rebellious, and that's like an insult to our freedom kind of thing. But I mean, besides things like the MoneyFreeParty, which don't currently have enough kind of public eye to go anywhere like immediately kind of thing, I just there's people are too one-track minded and black and white in the whole democracy and changing society thing. I don't know if I don't know if influencing people will go anywhere. I don't know if common people will be the ones that will change the world, kind of thing.
So my kind of challenge to you say, if you pull out of the voting system, you're allowing less and less people to decide, but like it's the same people that decide. It's the people who run the adverts. I think
it's the kleptocracy.
Yeah.
But I mean that is all kind of changing now. I mean, it's not going to change overnight, but the internet is just changing all that, isn't it? We're getting more away from mainstream media, and social media is becoming more open. And I know they're trying to control. Yeah, go on.
The thing with all this, especially the internet, is our personal experiences of the internet are not what everyone is doing. So, like things like Google, things like Facebook, they narrow down based on what you like. So you kind of there's more things out there than.
That's right. Yeah, it's getting more difficult, especially on Facebook. I mean, it's got very bad over the last couple of years. I mean that's. One of the big problems, isn't it? If people are sort of controlled so much by the main media, then we really, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go back about, what Tom was saying about, creating, like a Venus project or a city or more. I mean, I think that it's a great idea, and I think that's really part of the answer. Because there you have a shining example. But of how resource-based place can run. But the only thing is that if it's an isolated thing outside of mainstream society, you will just create a divide. They'll just see the freaks who live in that place over there. They'll call you a funny little name. Do you know what I mean? And they'll feel alienated from it themselves. So I think the best way forward is just to bring in mainstream society into the vision,
Well,
instead of sort
of this is a bit that people always overlook when they look at the Venus Project's aims. They think, well, they've got the little thing, the next thing they're going to do the city. The major motion picture is in between. We're in the stage of influencing public opinion, getting the word out there. That's why there's people like this. The major motion picture is an attempt to make it really mainstream. It's going to be in cinemas around the world if it's done to what is being proposed. Like,
right, I haven't heard about this actually. I mean that'd be great. I mean,
And
It's really the next step in their plan, in the aims and proposals of the Venus Project, which is on the website.
Right.
For anyone listening, the aims, like, go onto the venusproject.com and you'll find the aims and proposals. It has laid out exactly what the next couple steps are, including making a test city and going on from there.
yeah, and just to add as well, I agree with you, Nick. Like, it would be brilliant to get the mainstream media covering things like the Venus Project, but I mean, I don't know that that's going to happen because, I mean, to put it simply, the people who control the sectors of society today want to maintain control, and I don't think there's any way of getting away from the fact that in the future, if the Venus Project grows, we'll be called, we'll be called terrorists and we'll be called traitors, and we'll say that TVP hates your freedom.
Yeah. That is right. Yeah, I do agree with you. Yeah, we can't get through to we can't get mainstream media, to get on our side, but we can get mainstream society on our side. Well, and there is a difference there. I mean, if we have this vision, right, this sort of like idea of society, whatever it's like, but when you get out there and you talk to the people, okay, there's some narrow-mindedness, but you can usually break through that narrow-mindedness, and there is quite a large sort of degree of logical thinking within our society, and I don't think we should underestimate that. It's all, I mean, I know it feels like everybody's sort of like wearing blinkers and everybody's up to cognitive dissonance whenever you go against their sort of their lifestyle and everything. But you can bypass that.
Nick, you're breaking up.
There is a real core, real hard core of moral decency and. Sorry, that's because I was ranting probably.
No. Can you restart the sentence? You were cutting up.
Right, I can't remember what sentence I was on,
Sorry, I should have just let you go then.
I have a question as well. Because obviously the Venus Project proposes a system that's completely, I'd say, against politics. Do you think that the fact that what you're doing is democratic might confuse people as to the Venus Project's aims initially?
Well, as I said, we're not. It isn't. We're not. Although we promote the Venus Project, we don't see it as the end all and be all. It's not our. It's not. So.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing to just kind of explain here.
Yeah.
It's like MoneyFreeParty doesn't represent the Venus Project. You guys are off doing kind of your thing based on this money-free stuff, the resource-based economy stuff. They're not directly related to the Venus Project, correct?
We're not directly related to any, partisan group within the money-free movement. Now, I say the money-free movement as a sort of general term, and I'm terming it the money-free movement before the media gives it their own term. Yeah. So, because there is a movement, we're all involved in it. It involves the Venus Project, which, a lot of things have stemmed from, as you well know, the TZM. And but also, we've got the money-free ideal that's been around for more than 100 years now. There was sort of most sort of talked about, during when Marx was writing his Communist Manifesto.
So, do you advocate a resource-based economy?
Yeah, but I'm very sticky with terminology, especially with the knowledge that I get from certain circles. So. I don't like to use resource-based economy that much as a term because it refers to economy, which most people think as a monetary system. I know that's not the direct translation, but that is what most people think about when they hear it. And although I appreciate why Jacques might have called it a resource-based economy, what I'm hearing from people within the UN is that a resource-based economy, the term resource-based economy, might be used to help pull out a lot of the Agenda 21 sustainable local economies system that they have in mind and are slowly putting into place. So I tend to use the term, money-free society or resource-based society.
Okay.
Resource-based society sounds, sort of best, really.
Yeah, that's cool.
That kind of puts my mind to ease a little bit there, because if you start saying resource-based economy and comparing it with communism, that's where I have problems.
No, I didn't say anything about
I know you clarified that definitely, but this I'm not necessarily saying you, but people out there, like, they're using this term, and I'm worried about its misuse, because kind of as you said, but kind of what I'm thinking is, I don't know, we'll take Russell Brand as a complete example. Not had any conversations with him, but say he gets hold of the word and starts throwing it about without really understanding it, then we have real problems, because then you get into propaganda against communism.
Well, we're going to deal with real problems. Well, any term we use, really, when people want to sort of go against us, that sort of thing is just playing on people's ignorance, saying, oh, they're communists, and people think they're communists without even understanding what communist is. I mean, because most people don't actually understand that the communism that was promoted by Karl Marx was in fact a stateless, money-free society, with all power coming from the communities. Obviously, just not us, but Jacques Fresco as well is very aware of the prejudices and how sort of the word communism and socialism can get thrown at us, because people don't understand what they are in the first place.
I get a lot of people saying, isn't the Venus Project socialistic, and my response is often in the sense, because it deals with the well-being of people. It wants to decentralize power, and what's so bad about that? I mean, they used socialistic and communistic as these like buzzwords, which mean damned to fail and evil.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be too frightened of it either, because when communism was a great hope for people. I know they've got people like Stalin in there to crush everybody's hope, but a lot of people are very socialist. Even I know it's sort of within a capitalist context, but take me. I'm a self-employed person, right? And a lot of self-employed people are like me. We can be called like petty or bourgeois capitalists if you like, but the other side of it is, the reason why we've become self-employed is because we've seen the system as a dog-eat-dog, and we don't want to be eaten. We still have socialist tendencies, and that socialist tendency is again very strong. I mean, you've got unions, you've got Labour supporters. It is a strong. I don't think we should be too frightened of people's ignorance, really, and I think that's what we're saying. If we refer to that label will be used against us, and blah blah blah. I mean, they will try, obviously. They already are doing that, aren't they? Some of our critics.
Yeah, I've got another question as well. Do you think politics and democracy has a place in a resource-based society?
Very, very little. I don't know. I mean, there's some. It is a difficult thing, and I think we don't really have a clear idea. But I mean, most of the, if we relate the present democratic system that we've got, you can't relate that to a resource-based society at all. I think the thing we're going to have to maybe have some sort of democracy is in moral and ethical guidelines, especially when it comes to science. And let's, is how far do we go into cutting up, babies and stuff like that, to find that, in the pursuit of science, that sort of thing, What do you think?
When you're getting into a resource-based economy, you're going, well, what do you actually want to do? Like, it might be better, because I know they've done this, or they're getting to this. Sorry, I don't know the exact quote, but hopefully if someone Googles it, they'll be able to find it. They're growing, like, the internal organs of a human.
Yeah,
I know. Test injections and stuff.
Yeah.
And their meat as well. So, like I'm not a vegetarian, but I hate the meat industry and disagree with it completely because it's disgusting. But now, we can grow artificial meat, and if that becomes widespread, vertical farming as well.
I mean, I think ethics, maybe, I really don't know. I mean, at the moment, and in a resource-based economy, hopefully not so much, but usually, I mean, we're just voting with our stupidity, aren't we? We're
Yeah.
voting on sort of like expert, on very, complicated issues that we don't know anything about, and we put our little cross on the box if we believe we did. It is a bit of a mockery, but
Well, that's it. I don't think we don't get any choices like that. You choose the guy who chooses the choice.
that's right. That's representative democracy that we've got. Yeah, and I mean, it's crap. It just takes away any power you have and gives it to somebody else. So that somebody else has the democratic power of thousands and thousands of people, and you have nothing.
Yeah.
That's the way representative democracy works. So one would hope that in a resource-based society, then there would be sort of like more direct forms of democracy. And I'm sure democracy would flourish actually within the communities to some extent on some issues. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it'd have to be a community level.
But it would be partisan politics. There was people just voicing their opinions and saying, well, should we do this or that? Oh, let's take a vote on it then. Because we haven't got a hot
I think instead of...
You mean like a dance troupe voting on what they're going to do next time they do it?
Yeah, that sort of thing. I think that's probably where democracy belongs.
Yeah. Oh, however, studies and statistics will take over the vote, so... I mean, if it's like, what should we do about increasing agricultural yield? That'll go down to statistics.
Yeah, exactly. Statistics. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I suppose what concerns a lot of people is an ethical framework, isn't it? How do we have an ethical framework, or should we even have one?
I think the ethical. The ethical framework of the resource-based economy that I understand it, as advocated by the Venus Project, is that it's the system is designed for sustainability and to provide for all the human condition for all people globally without prejudice, and to create a sustainable society without waste, to provide for the environment, to care for the earth, and to work towards the future. And in that sense, that includes providing for everyone's needs basically, and creating a complete redundancy, access to everything. So
yeah, the ethics almost comes in where they talk about doing surveys before you do something, where if they want to build a dam at some place, you do a survey on what are the outcomes, what are the possible best and worst situation, what's the effect on the environment, and you just kind of it kind of makes itself. If you go, okay, well, this thing's gonna provide electricity for 100,000 people, it'll flood an area of environments that supports X amount. That kind of those kind of equations, I guess, would be looked at. So
yeah.
I think
they've been discussed by professionals in those fields, and the conclusions would be arrived at logically, because you've got to think people that have agendas.
It's all going to be very different, isn't it? Because because a resource-based economy isn't going to be an ever-expanding economy. So, we don't have to sort of keep developing and developing, do we? We try to find a balance within our environment instead of thinking, oh, well, let's see what other resources we can use up now, sort of thing.
Yeah, in a sense, except you've got to encompass for growth as well, and
Well, no, I don't think so myself, because I mean, we've seen in our Western societies, as soon as we get materially secure and educated, our birth rate drops down to 2.1, which, if you take into sort of early fatalities, it's actually a negative growth.
Yeah.
And you could probably look at that throughout the world. That's how it would go.
If you head into a resource-based economy, then you're expecting life expectancy to go up. Hell of a lot. So I think with this question, with overpopulation, just touching on it, I think people under, I don't know, sorry to be ageist, under 40 have the chance to see 200. I think the technology is getting that fast.
Yeah. They do say that the Daily Mail said the person whose first person lived 150 has already been born. Yeah, so it is like that. Yeah, it seems to be pointing that direction.
I think if you're talking about the economy and talking about growth, I think within resource-based economy, there is still growth, but it's different growth. It's not like expansion.
Yeah.
It's growth and refinement, and actually taking less and using it more. Was it ephemeralization? The kind of drive towards more and more efficiency, give back to the environment more and more, create more life for everyone on this planet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
it's,
like growth in our technological capabilities and is it celestial travel? Is in space travel? Is that how you say
Yep.
that? Yeah, that kind of thing. Because we need more
yeah,
energy.
well, yeah. One would hope so. Yeah, I mean that's what it would be nice because we're so behind on that department at the moment, and
But not,
Well,
but not.
well, we are and we're not, and depends how we see things. Really.
Lee, what were you saying?
But it's not only that kind of materialistic growth that we need. We also need a spiritual growth as well. We need to understand our place in nature and that we are the caretakers of this planet. We aren't the custodians of it. We just happen to live here, and that has got to be at the forefront of anything that we do. Anything that we try to achieve, we've got to put that at the forefront. I mean, we have a guest that we've had on our show numerous times now. He's called Professor Guy McPherson. He was a climate scientist, and from the studies that he's done and the information that he's seen, what we're experiencing now in climate change is what we created 40 years ago.
Yeah,
and when you look at our civilization now, we have come on so much and polluted so much more that unless we change things drastically in the short term, then we could even be facing the extinction of all human life on the planet.
That's right.
So any system that we build and anything that we try to achieve, we've got to keep in mind that nature, we have got to take care of what we've got, because we haven't got a planet B. This is it. We've got this one, and that's it.
That's it, Lee. And I'm glad you brought it up, because that's something that is very forgotten about, actually. Within our movement by some of us, is the actual urgency, the real urgency there is to do something now, to stop it all now, and to bring in a logical transition, a direct transition, not sort of like in 10, 20, 30 years' time. We're already going into now a period, that we have no idea where we're going in terms of climate change.
Yeah.
We just don't. Well, we have a pretty good idea. UK probably become like Siberia. That sort of thing. We have an idea how it's going, but really we're going into the unknown now.
Yeah, I read another interesting thing, which is environmental disaster, that kind of stuff will first get felt in the southern hemisphere. It's the northern hemisphere that pollutes the most. So it's
basically, we're shitting all over the world. Basically because we robbed all their stuff and we've digested it, and now we're polluting it into the system back to them. Sorry about that. It's kind of like that, though. It's a double whammy for the poor.
I guess there's two questions for you off that, kind of from MoneyFreeParty.
Yeah.
One, we're talking about the global kind of mentality. How are you going to get through to that kind of thing through a national political kind of setting? And the second one is, can you do it in under 10 years? I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we have been thinking about it. I mean, it really depends. Whether the MoneyFreeParty does it. I think the MoneyFreeParty can help, but that really depends on how many people want to sort of stand as a representative. Because unless we have the representatives there that will stand in the elections, then we won't go that way, will we? So I don't know if we get the representatives or not.
Okay.
As for and if we did get the representatives, yes, because we've got one, at least one transition plan, and so if you said, something happened, and the MoneyFreeParty become a household name, say by about 2018, 2017, and by 2020 elections, we could be voted in, and by 2022 we could be halfway into a direct transition to a money-free world. It could happen quite quickly. And to answer your other question, the other part of your question about worldwide, global, that's why we are sort of starting, little core groups in other countries as well. We want to. The whole movement is global, isn't it? And the solution is global, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Well, fair play if you're aiming for 2020, but I think the question is, how are you going to get there? You don't. I assume you guys don't have the money to compete with the advertising that the big.
We don't. No, we don't. No. But
And actually, the question probably more importantly would be, what would you do if you get like one seat? What would that?
Okay. Yeah. I'll cover both of those.
Okay. Thanks.
Remember the first one. Yeah. When we look at things in a total, sort of, it looks very complicated and very difficult. When you just sort of focus in your vision to the local, everything gets much more doable. So, say if I campaign for my MP's constituency here, then I can campaign on very little money, and I can campaign to compete, with the Lib Dem con, So that answers your first question. We don't need big advertisements. What we need is just to sort of like get people tuned in to the vision, because basically it's a product for us. It's like the money-free vision or the resource-based vision. If we see it as a product to sell, I mean it's a lovely product. It's beautiful, and I think it's quite easily sold. So going back to we get one person in the parliament. What can we do? We can do very little. What we can do is ask very embarrassing questions, and bring out the contradictions within the present government, because it's all televised, isn't it? There's a United Nations bill about everybody should have access to food. So we could be campaigning that everybody should have access to food, because at the moment within the monetary system, people don't have access to food if they don't have any money. So one person in Parliament isn't going to make a lot of difference, but it's a start, isn't it?
The problem that I see is that politics is ruled by money, and unless you have the money to get anywhere, then the established order will not let you stick your heads above the parapet. If you look at people like, say, the Green Party, for example, they've been around for ages now, and they're all promoting sustainability and doing what they can on that front, but do they actually get anywhere? Do they actually get a chance to stand up and be the leaders of the country or whatever? Or do they be kept down because what they propose goes against the corporations? And it's the corporations really that pay for our prime ministers. They're the ones that really pay to get the people into power. So
the interesting thing is that you hear, like in the mainstream media, more about BNP than the Green Party.
It's very true, isn't it? It's very true. Yeah. The thing is, the real power, isn't sort of like through pay packets and that. It's through your conception of reality, isn't it? That's the real power. And so
I disagree, actually.
Yeah.
I disagree. I'd say that our power lies in our pay packets.
Well, I mean, it does, within consumerism, within the consumer ideology, but it isn't, and you can say, within capitalist society, the pay packet is the power, but it's the mentality. It doesn't have any power over me, where it has minimal power, because I don't sort of get off on it, but the thing is, going back to the Green Party and its, and national media, not giving them a fair hearing, it all comes down to the people's actual perception of reality, to do with how they vote, and it's because people are so blinkered to what's going on, the reality is, they will vote for the Lib Dem con, they will vote for, more social inequality and, their own enslavement.
I was going to say, something that I come across quite commonly is I ask the question, who would you like to get in? People say that the Green Party. I say, who are you going to vote for? They say Lib Dems or Labour. And the reason for that is...
Yeah, that's right. There's all this shit about tactical voting. It is crap. It is just crap,
I can't vote for the Green Party here. I can't vote for Labour here.
I can't either.
Yeah,
that's right. Same here, mate. Same here. Yeah, I'm very limited by my choice here.
So on that basis alone, that you ain't getting a free vote, are you?
it's not
Because there's
well,
parties that you can't
that's
vote
fine.
for, so you're not getting a
I
free
mean,
vote.
we've just been defranchised, from the whole system, which was, another reason why people asked that we should make a party, for the resource-based movement, because then people at least did have an option.
If you had the backing of the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist movement, would you work towards a democratic transition, or would you carry on doing what the Venus Project's doing with promoting the movie and trying to work towards building a city? Like, which strategy do you think works best or will work best?
Tom.
Yeah.
When I was dropping out of society many decades ago, there used to be this common argument: which is better to change society, within the system or outside the system? Okay, and now that and of course the answer is both. And that's the same answer to your question. It's both. It's not like, oh, this is the best strategy, because people are all different and people all respond to different things. And I think the best strategy is to have as many strategies going on as possible. Because it becomes harder, for criticism to be put onto any one organisation or any one person, because we're just so spread out, coming in from different directions. I think it's that strategy is that you're building your Venus projects, we're building consent, within the main populace. People are building movies. Just all go for it, isn't it?
Yeah,
do
I
you
agree. I think I agree.
Do both groups agree on the same principles? Do both groups agree on the same directions? Because if you don't, then at some point down the line, you're going to come to that division where you agree on something and they don't agree on something else.
It doesn't matter, as far as I'm concerned. What the thing is as well, we don't really need the TVP vote or the the Zeitgeist movement vote, because they're a tiny little minority in society. So we're more interested in getting mainstream vote.
So what kind of realistic goals have you set yourself? Is it to literally get in government, or to get a seat in parliament, or that kind of thing? I'm interested in. Sorry?
You're talking about myself or the other people in the party?
Well, I suppose the party in general, because what I'm hearing currently is it's about building an image in the mainstream eye, reaching those people and getting people on board with the ideas, kind of thing, which is great. I'm also wondering if you are one of your main objectives is actually to get in power as well, because you haven't talked about that much.
Right. I mean, the reason why we probably don't talk about it is because we're not much concerned about it. Because our prime concern is actually promoting the vision, and and I think that's our first step. When we first set up, there was a sort of let's go in local sort of idea, as local councillors, because we can win local elections, as local councillors. It's not that difficult. But then other people come in the party, they want to stand as MPs, and I'm sort of thinking of standing as an MP now, just for the pure reason that if I do a campaign to run as a councillor, I'll go through about 1,400 households that I'll direct my campaign, to a very small number of households. But if I'm doing a campaign for an MP, in a constituency, then I have to direct my campaign in a much bigger way. Therefore, more people become aware of the vision.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think we're not really bothered about winning elections, but saying that when we've actually looked at the maths, we think, well, it is possible, because the thing with the our target voter, is the non-voter, and the non-voters are sort of becoming quite a majority.
Yeah, I see that. It's interesting.
So if you could get say 15% or 20% of the non-voters voting, and get the 10% of the voters who already vote for us, then we win. It's kind of cherry on the cake, really. But
latest statistics say that over 2 million kids from the age of 18 to 25 will not be voting. What are your plans to kind of reach out to that group then? What is it that you guys going to do differently?
Yeah, See, the way campaigns work, I suppose, for the national parties with their wits or culture is they'll actually have sort of a campaign strategy that they'll roll out nationally. I don't think we're really going to work like that because we haven't got enough MP standing, and I think every candidate who stands is going to basically run their own campaign on how they feel best to do that.
Then,
So we all have sort of different ideas on that one.
like,
But it's a good point anyway. It is sort of going at those kids, and if they make the election, rules where they want to bring down the age to 16, don't they? Some people. I mean, that's great.
I think maybe on this, like, here there's a party called Not a Party or Not a Vote. I'm not sure if you guys know.
I know none of the above.
Yeah, it is that, but
Yeah.
it's called Not a because none of the above is not acceptable or something. Like, that's something more that I could get behind, I think, because, well, the whole idea, if you vote for them, someone gets in, then you get an option on a ballot of none of the above. That's really what their whole thing is. They want none of the above. So, which is, lots of people go to like voting and just write none of the above on it, but that's defacing and doesn't count as a.
That's right. Yeah.
So we want that vote of no confidence. That's really what I want. If we can have like the democracy, the majority of people saying, I don't want to vote. I don't want to vote for any of these people. That to me sounds like a lot like something that I could get behind.
Yeah, but what's the result of it though?
Well, the result is then you have like the actual democratic ending of democracy. It votes out the own system.
Well, only if you get a great big majority. Voting for a void. I mean, because that's what you're doing, isn't it? You're voting for a void. And people don't like voids. People are frightened enough of change as it is. And if they want to vote for some change, they want to know exactly what that change is. That's the way we are. We're quite insecure in that way. So voting none of the above, I do, can sympathise and relate to it a lot. But it's just a void. It's like a protest vote. In the end, it doesn't achieve a new vision or a new world, does it?
That's true, but I think because Stu, one of your guys, he's actually in the borough over me, but say I voted for him, I would say I would think of it exactly the same. It has very little difference. Very little effect. No one's going to see that someone from a MoneyFreeParty got 4 votes or something. Down at the bottom. I just don't see as really doing a lot. I think up to it, if you guys can market yourself and almost even say, don't vote for me, but this is what we're talking about. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously you want votes, and that's kind of understandable from where you're coming from. But what you're the way I see it is you're creating a platform that you can spread the idea more on, and that's more important than actually having one of you guys in a position of.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of what the none of the above thing is also doing. And also, if that gets a large percentage of votes, then people, surely the mainstream eye would find it difficult to ignore that and say, well, actually, I don't know, freaking Conservatives got 27% or something, but the none of the above got 30%, and then it's like, well, does that mean that Conservatives are out? And then what the hell do we do? State of panic, that eases the system into a state of transition, or even collapse quicker. But
the door to the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, do you want that collapse? I mean, is that collapse in anybody's benefit? Really, the system collapses. Without anything to collapse into.
The system is in the political system is in who actually governs us. Does fuck all in our lives.
It does do
for the however long that we have ungoverned.
It does do a lot. The political system does loads, right? If we didn't have the present political system, if we had some sort of social sort of capitalist anarchy out there, there'll be people dying and begging, much more than there is now.
When we had a hung government for I don't know how long it took, about a week, wasn't it? Things didn't stop. We all carried.
No, it's very true. Yeah, in that sense, yeah.
It would be in that kind of situation, I'd say, if you get none of the above.
Yeah, but then you get, if that happens, right, then you just get some bright spark, because as you know, as you've been making yourself, telling me that, the mainstream media and the people that pull the strings, they'll just turn it to their advantage. They'll say, well, this is the problem now. The democratic system, this is the problem. Here's the solution, and it'd probably be Agenda 21. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if people would lose the trust in everything mainstream though.
Because you were talking about, but you were talking about sort of tactical voting a little while ago, and that sort of it does relate to that, doesn't it? I mean, if you vote. If you got the choice of none of the above or MoneyFreeParty and you voted for none of the above, but you were a supporter of the TV, a resource-based economy, that wouldn't make any sense, would it?
It would make sense. That's probably what I would do in that situation right now, because I think you guys are you're very good. You're putting out a message, but I don't particularly want you guys in power. I don't really have there isn't enough information about you guys and all this kind of stuff for me to trust you in any way to power. Just trying to say this is what a resource-based economy is and implementing it.
Right. Well, there's 2 points there.
Okay.
One is we are not going to be in a position of power until we are a majority in Parliament. And if we were a majority in Parliament, then that would be the public, yourself included, or maybe yourself excluded, but the people having a consensus to go into a direct transition to a resource-based society. Okay.
But you're not going to get a position of power while a corptocracy decides who our leaders are. They're the ones with the money at the end of the day. They're the ones that get the final vote.
Well, I mean, if you want to use that sort of...
I mean, if it comes to it...
Well, then, what are you going to do? Vote for none of the above. You've still got the same, corporations in front. Whatever you do, you've always got those corporations in front. I think to say, we're not going to gain. I don't know what you're saying actually. Yeah.
I think none of the above.
I'm just saying that while the corporations are the main sponsors of our government, then anybody who threatens their worldview of profit over people is not going to get anywhere. Look at the Green Party again.
You can say the same thing about everything that we do, whether it's like a protest or whether it's trying to create a social movement.
That's right.
So we might as well bury our heads in the sand, all of us, if that's the way.
Well, I think I don't do protests. I don't go.
No, well, I don't. I don't either. I've only sort of by pressure doing what I'm doing with the party, but.
Mm-hmm.
What we really need is an evolution and not a revolution.
Yeah.
And we need an evolution through education, through raising awareness of the current flaws in the system, and we can fix those current flaws, and creating that critical mass of people that are on the same page. And unless we get that, then we're heading for collapse. I mean, the financial collapse is happening all around us. We've got how many? 20,000 bankers have just lost their jobs at Barclays. We've got RBS. All this financial system is in collapse globally, and it's only a matter of time before the whole thing comes down, because technological unemployment is slaughtering the amount of work out there, putting so many people out of work, and the government turn around and say, it's the immigrants, blame the immigrants, it's all their fault for coming in the country and stealing jobs, when really all they're doing is trying to survive in this system, this global system.
That's right, and it is going to collapse. It is going to collapse, Lee, because it's designed to collapse. But it's not going to collapse into an RBE money-free society.
No, it's not.
It's going to collapse into an RBE Agenda 21. Unless we do something about it.
I don't buy the Agenda 21. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That goes against. We're ruled by a global corptocracy whose only interest is in making profit. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever to kill off the people that are going to give you your profit. It's not good business sense.
Yeah, okay. But you're talking about the conspiracy theory of Agenda 21, and you're not talking about the actual reality of the UN Agenda 21, which is local sustainable communities. There is a difference there. The UN is not promoting genocide. But the thing is, going back to this sort of like elite and the powers that be, we are very mistaken if we believe that there is just one entity of force that is controlling us. There are a lot of competitive forces you know, that are controlling us, that aren't so happy with each other. And, you know, Agenda 21 is one of those forces, you know, sort of, so there's some corporation, you know, movements as well, you know, that have other agendas, you know, there is a lot of agendas going about. One of the things I've learned actually recently, and it makes me feel very positive, if we go back to the UN, is that the level of awareness among the United Nations wage slaves, you know, the workers, of an RBE, a resource-based economy, is huge compared with outside. We all gone quiet.
Yeah, just trying to think of a last question to wrap this up.
Lee, am I right in assuming that you're in support of a collapse of this system?
Yeah. Controlled demolition. It has to be a controlled demolition. Anything else will be pure anarchy. And we don't want to see people in danger. We don't want to see people getting hurt. And we don't want to see people. Well, we don't want to see what's happening around the UK and the world that we're seeing right now. It's absolutely devastating to sit here day in, day out and reading these stories of what people are doing to each other for the sake of fucking money. It's absolutely disgusting. And you just kind of want to reach out to people and say, look, do you not understand what you're doing? Look, we can do something differently. But it's getting through that mindset and the amount of conditioning that people are going on TVs. And you've also got to remember, we were conditioned as kids to work by the sweat of your brow, and so were our parents. So when we try to talk to the older generations about it, they're already conditioned. It's trying to change that older mindset as well. And it's the older mindsets that kind of run things in the House of Lords, and they're the ones that have the final say. So at UK collapse, we also see a generational war that's going on now as well between the different generations. That you've got the younger kids that are starting to realise and open their eyes and go, shit, we've been promised a lie. This isn't true. This isn't right. You know, we've worked all the way through college. We've been through university, and now we've come out the end expecting a job, expecting a nice life, and we're on the dole. We've got no jobs. And all these different things that we're actually witnessing in the civilization and the society at the moment. We were looking at the collapse 2 years ago, and the amount of news feeds and news stories that we were coming across were nothing compared to what we've got today. I mean, it is exponential.
It is.
Things that people...
We are rising tide.
But while people keep supporting a system that you got to go to the vote and change it through the vote, or you know, you got to do this, you got to do that. To us, it's just prolonging the agony. We need, like I say, a control collapse where we educate people and say to people, look, we understand that you're unhappy with your job. You work in a power station. We need to keep our power on. Let's get together and chat, because we have got so many young kids here that would love to do engineering. So we can get them working with you, and then that will cut your time of work down, so you'll be able to spend more time at home. We'll job share your job out, and we'll still have our electricity on. So little projects like that with the water, the electricity, all the human sustaining needs that we need to do to keep us alive, those are the things that we should be concentrating on, keeping our lights on, keeping the water flowing, keeping the sewage going, getting our bins collected. But understanding that also that there's a lot of jobs out there that we need to get rid of, a lot of the retail jobs that can be now replaced by machinery. You know, we've got the automatic tills where you walk in and scan things, and the automation level that we could create is... we can't imagine it. We can't imagine the world that we could step into if we freed our technology from
I think we've got to make that world, haven't we? You know, before we demolish the old one for the people to step into.
Yeah.
And the demolition, it isn't so much of a demolition as an obsolescence. You know, we have to make the system obsolete by supplying, you know, the sustainable free energy, the sustainable free food, you know, the access to manufacturing, you know, facilities, that sort of thing. You know, once we've done that, then
we've also got
falls apart, doesn't it?
You've also got to understand that we have to cut thousands and thousands of jobs, and we've got to close factories up and down all around the world purely because of the damage that we're doing to our environment, to our climate. So we have to take that option and that idea forward and think about that. You know, technological employment is going to free us all from work. then what jobs do we really need in society, and what jobs can we get rid of tomorrow? Because the waste, the amount of people that are driving to work every single day, the pollutants that are going up into the air. I mean, it was only a couple of days ago that they released a report about the dirtiest cities in the United Kingdom. London being, of course, number one, where it's so dangerous just stepping out of your door. The amount of pollution. Yeah. And we're sitting here wondering why we're all watching these adverts for cancer and thinking, give us £3 for cancer research. What, £3 that I've got to go to work for to pollute the atmosphere so some fucker else gets cancer? Do you know what I mean? So we've got to think about our impact on the earth and our impact with human beings around us as well at the same time, because if we don't, then any system that we try and build or anything that we try and do is going to fail. And when we're going up against a global elite, which is what we really are doing, what we're really talking about here is going up against a global elite of corporations and businessmen that what all are interested in is their profits. We have to work smart as well, and the way we do that is we do that through the education, because our kids aren't taught what to learn at school. They're given, all kids are done, all that happens to kids at school is they go to school and they're taught how to memorize something, and that's all it is. They're taught how to memorize this piece of work, that piece of work, so when they come to the exam they can tick the right box. It shows they've got a good memory, off you go to a job. But they're not taught any real skills, in learning to think critically, or to develop the science interests or anything like that. It's all kind of geared towards the military-industrial complex as well, our science, when you look at it that way. And then you've got the stupid ideas of, let's, GMO and all that lot. Let's genetically modify this, and let's do that, and let's do this. Well, why don't you just put a fucking vertical farm there? I mean, the amount of adverts that we see at dinner time, you're sitting down to eat your dinner at dinner time, you've been at work, you've done your day's work, you're coming home, you're not going to get paid enough for the work that you've done anyway, but you come home, you sit there, you're eating your measly dinner, and you get an adverts flashing up on the TV, save these kids in Africa, £3 a month, here you go, do this, do that. And I'm sat there thinking, but I did that 2 years ago. I gave you £3 a month, and it's still the same situation now, so why hasn't anything changed? What's happening? Worse. Where's the technology that we should be applying? Why isn't somebody going out there? We've got this huge resource we call the army, but they're all sitting around in Afghanistan protecting the poppy fields, when really they should be in Africa building fucking vertical farms and helping people in that real way. And instead of all these stupid, pathetic borders we've got around these countries that are creating all this racism and disgusting behaviour between human beings, what we really need to be doing is removing the borders and letting people move to where they need to do. We've got hundreds of thousands, if millions of people in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, that are dying because they're trapped in a fucking border, an invisible line in the sand that says you can't cross here without a passport or ID or the wages to do it. So we're just literally sitting them there and just killing them, just letting them die. And then you're getting these adverts, pay £3. And then you pay your £3 and you think, well, at least I'm doing my bit. But are you really doing your bit? Are you
paying
really?
For the CEO?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had numerous stories, didn't we, coming about Oxfam, where they invest their money. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And unless we use our technology wise, and this is why I absolutely love the Venus Project, and this is why I'm absolutely 100% behind the Zeitgeist movement as well, it's that using technology in the most humane way to save as many lives as we can, because every single day, from the moment we started this broadcast now, thousands of people have died in this system that we are supporting. In this system we support by going to the ballot box and ticking a box, pretending and thinking that we are making a difference. Politics is nothing more than a sideshow to make you think that you are changing the world, and you are doing fuck all.
It's like the protest movement.
But that's just my observation, sorry.
Lee, that was, for me, that was a brilliant speech. I agree completely. Yeah. I might even write a song out of
that. I tend to think as politicians, they're like the Queen, just like the figurehead with no real power. It's just another smokescreen.
Yeah, I think you're being. I think in many ways you're being very prejudiced, to be honest with you. I mean, you've got a system full of corrupt people.
I've got to be prejudiced. There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of people dying around the world in this system. I have to be prejudiced.
I know.
I'm a human being. I feel their pain. I can go online and I can see the stories and I can read what people are doing to each other. And I feel that. But so Lee, to sit back and just kind of go, I'll tick a box. That's not good enough for me.
Lee, what other choice have you got? What choice of mainstream society
activism.
Got?
Do what we're doing now, and supporting the Venus Project, committing your life, trying to gain power, trying to use that power to get
I would say that. But look, if you just sort of like think all politicians are wankers. Okay, which
No, they're not all.
yeah, I do to a certain extent, but I am a politician, right? And then I meet. Wait a minute. Then I meet very good people at local level into politics. Okay, trying to do their bit. So you just can't say, oh, they're a load of cunts, and you can't say, let's opt out of society and not use the system, because that's the advice we've been given for 40 years. That is the advice, I was given, when I was
That's
17.
conditioning. That's not advice.
No. The advice was given to me, opt out of society.
The point is,
let's not give the system any more energy, right? And that's 2 generations. And these 2 generations of people like me, like yourself, have been told, opt out of the system, stay out of the system, don't vote, don't do this. And where's it gotten us?
yeah,
No,
I agree.
Yeah, it's just an observation.
No.
Nobody's told me not to.
We can always blame other people.
Well,
right?
no, we don't. Okay, kind of from where I'm coming from, I don't blame any politician. Like, people don't have choice, they don't have free will, so you can't be going, oh, that politician's a twat. The system is designed to make them corrupt. I'm sure most politicians went into it came in as good, kind of what we good people meant to change the world for the better. The system changes people.
But then, I mean, a lot of people go onto the computer, right, in pure innocence, and end up fucking weeks and weeks of addicted to pornography or gambling.
Yep.
Okay, it's back to the system, isn't it? It's back to using the system. As I said, you have the chance, the whole world has the chance to vote out capitalism, to vote in a different system. No,
we don't. None of the parties are standing for a non-capitalist system. None of them with any real chance of kind of gaining power.
Okay. You said none with any. Why haven't they got the chance?
Because capitalism runs the food.
It's the mindset of the people that rule capitalism. It's the people's mindset.
Are decided by the consumer, like by the corporations that throw the adverts that pay off the education boards to teach kids what to do.
And then they're the ones who also get the politics in power that support them. So they've got every corner of it covered. I just see that the thing with me, how you said about opting out of society, it's not the right solution. But the way I see it is, of course, I agree. But I also think opting out of society, but then advocating and spending your time and resources on advocating new solutions is the solution. To change the world, it isn't just we vert someone in. There are other ways we can get there. We can advocate.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It isn't sort of like one strategy that's going to do anything. And if they say, well, okay, there's a strategy. It adds a lot of space, but let's not use that one, or let's debunk that one. I mean, because not being funny, Lee, but you're sort of like debunking a strategy, as sort of like. I'm a political part. I'm part of a political party, and you're saying, you're a load of wankers. There's no point in you.
I didn't say that.
You would
think so at all.
I think it's healthy though to try and debunk strategies. Do you think it's healthy to assess them and because then we can work together on something that's more likely to.
It is critical thinking, but sort of whitewashing the whole thing, isn't so critical. That's just sort of like. Sucking on people's bias, are they? So, well, the political system rubbish. Let's blame all the politicians.
Yeah, but I think Lee had a genuine argument and genuine points. It wasn't just whitewashing. It was, from what I heard, genuine.
No, I mean, I thought
ideas.
he was just putting the responsibility of all the suffering of the world onto politicians.
No, not at all. No. It's on us.
It is on us. Yeah. That's right. And it's on us helping and supporting each other. Because if we can't do that, then we can't do that, can we?
Agreed.
We're not going to achieve our ideal by creating, divisions within us.
Yeah.
That's right. That's one thing we talk about on our show quite often is the fact of communities coming together and getting into the ground and learning to grow food and building communities around yourself. We promote that wholeheartedly on the show. That's something that we talk about a lot. But we also talk about how the political system is so corrupt that even the people with the most honest intentions don't get a look in.
Wait, I know. So Lee, do you talk, say the computer's corrupt and people not to use it?
I don't understand. How does your computer how does your computer get corrupted by the money system?
The political system is not corrupt in itself. as I said before, and this is a fact.
Money
Wait a
corrupts
minute,
politicians.
listen 1 minute. The political system, you can vote in a different system. It depends upon the people who use it. So it's just that, isn't it?
I don't know if that's like a 1 in a million,
You know,
considering how much control
is
they
a
have
fine
over it.
place for information.
Why do they have whips in Parliament?
What?
Why do they have whips in party politics?
Oh, okay, there you go.
Guys, it's a joke.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing as well. Like, you don't choose the party leaders. Who chooses the party leaders?
Well, okay, yeah, that's what you do. You know, if that's your bag, but that's not using the system, is it? You know, to its advantage.
Yeah, but if like, I don't know, I want to give like a good example of this, but I can't really. But like, the system only gives you a minute choice. It only allows very small changes.
It only gives you a minute choice because people don't want to stand as representatives. Now, if you stood up in your area as a representative, you would be creating more choice for the electorate, wouldn't you?
I don't want to represent.
No. Well, this is part of the problem.
The whole thing, like.
That's right. And so, you know, the solution, you know, will be in Agenda 21 because, you know, they'll say, look, this system is not really working.
Can you just
because
explain?
nobody's bothering to go out, so we have to make this solution for it, which will cut away even more rights that we have. I mean, and that's what will happen. You all know that. If the democratic system that we use gets used in the way that it's getting used now, okay, you know, within 10 or 20 years, you're going to have, 10%, 20% turnout voting? You know, and so what the elite will do, they'll just take away that democratic right from you, as a solution.
I don't know that a democratic right is worth anything, considering who we're voting for are basically the corporations.
It's up to you vote for, isn't it?
Yeah, what I'm saying is who we vote.
It's up to you if you want to turn on the porn channel, you know, or find some information. It's just up to the people.
No, what I'm saying is who we vote for is decided by the companies that back those people. We're voting for companies, and companies have the money. Companies have the control of the media and the education system and everything that the mainstream population thinks. So we're not voting for scientists or people who are going to make intelligent decisions. We're voting for people who are in a business. Politics is a business.
Only because the scientists are not going out there, you know, and stand as representatives.
Because they don't have the money. No one's going to represent someone who wants to take down the oil companies. No one, right? So if the scientific solutions that we have go completely against our current system, go completely against it, a resource-based economy cannot work within capitalism. Within capitalism, people in power want to sustain capitalism. They want capitalism to succeed and to continue.
That's only because they're being voted in as pro-capitalist, aren't they? I mean, they're pro-capitalist parties, and the people are sort of brainwashed to vote for them. So the answer is to unbrainwash the people, and then they might stop voting for the capitalist parties.
And all means of media and all means of advertising are done by the same companies that back politicians that get in power. Mm-hmm. So exactly. how do we reach that many people?
But
really,
that isn't completely true. I mean, we get lots of independents, or not as many as we like. But if you look at the graphs for independence, we get a lot of independents in now, and there's more independents, you know, getting into Parliament and getting into positions of power than there ever was before, without any corporate backing. I mean, it's very difficult. Yeah, if you generalise, you're going to be wrong. you got to sort of look at it, you know, a bit more analytic, really.
Well, we're all going to be wrong about pretty much everything.
Yeah, exactly. We're all going to be wrong, and you know, so
we'll see what comes out of it. Guys, we're running way over our time.
We were a bit late.
It's getting a little shouty, so I think it's really good. We've kind of come to some good stuff.
Right.
We'll probably all go away with the same position that we started, but hopefully we've got some information out.
I think the main thing that I'm taking away from this is that we all agree, like what's wrong in the world. We all agree on the solutions, you know, there or thereabouts. It's just we have different methods of achieving them. And I do agree with what you say, Nick, is that we should approach it from as many directions as possible. I agree, and I think it's great that you're doing what you're doing. I'm really happy that people are supporting this. But the conversations. The conversations that we're having were just based around whether we think that the tactics that we're employing are, like, you know, going to be efficient and going to work, and that's kind of what we were, you know, discussing really. But when it comes down to it, we agree on so many levels that just outweighs it, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you as well.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Nick and Lee.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, Lee, and you, Aiden, most of all, for setting up.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
All right, we're going to have an outro now, so look forward to that, guys.
Okay.
Boom.
Oh, thanks.